Viewers, India's airlines are now facing serious questions about passenger safety, dignity and even accountability. In just 6 months, two disturbing incidents have been reported at Delhi airport and have exposed the cracks in the system. 6 months ago, an 82-year-old woman with restricted mobility allegedly suffered a brain stroke after falling at the airport as Air India denied a pre-booked wheelchair. And she was forced to walk. She was in the ICU for 3 days. The airline involved, Air India, faced allegations of gross negligence. Then came another shocking episode. A SpiceJet passenger alleges he was physically assaulted by an Air India Express pilot simply for objecting to the pilot cutting the boarding queue. The incident unfolded in full public view. The passenger says his 7-year-old daughter witnessed the assault and is now traumatized. The airline has admitted misconduct, removed the pilot from duty and ordered an internal inquiry. The Civil Aviation Ministry, meanwhile, has stepped in, grounding the pilot and ordering a formal inquiry with reports sought from BCAS and CISF. But tonight, the larger question remains, viewers, are India's airports and airlines failing the very passengers they are meant to serve? And who is accountable when senior crew members themselves are accused of violence? As India aims to be a global aviation hub, can such incidents be brushed aside as isolated, or do they point to a deeper crisis in aviation? And joining us on the panel tonight is Captain Sanjay Karve, aviation expert and former accountable manager, aviation, Government of Maharashtra, Professor Bijon Mishra, consumer policy expert. We have Wing Commander Alok Sahai, aviation and safety expert. Wing Commander, let me come to you first. Where is our airlines heading? There is no passenger safety. There is no concern for passengers. On one side, operations are being, disrupted. On the other hand, passengers don't have dignity, in the sense they have not been given the right dignity, and there is no accountability as well. How do we move forward if this is the scenario with our airlines?
Yeah, rightly said. This is a very shocking incident because any operator operating within the aviation ecosystem, whether the operator or the stakeholders, the first and prime objective and prime motto is the desired conduct of the people operating there. I have been in aviation sector. This is of utmost importance is given to that. I'm sorry to say that in this incident, it is very clear that this is slightly waning away. If these kinds of things are being repeated, probably the aviation operators, the airlines, and all other stakeholders need to give adequate training to their staff when they are inducted in the for working within that ecosystem of aviation, because there is no room for such kind of rude behavior. Absolutely unacceptable anywhere globally. Number one. Number two, people are probably not aware that their conduct is under absolute CCTV coverage. Every corner is being recorded. You cannot have this kind of a conduct, whatever be the provocations. The passenger, Mr. Ankit Diwan, I can understand that he might have provoked by saying something, and the pilot got provoked. But still, the pilot action is absolutely unacceptable. Being an airlines pilot, he should be aware that he cannot do this kind of conduct anywhere, not only within the airport, but anywhere. And if the pilot is losing his cool in such a manner, it is very obvious that question should be raised whether these kinds of conduct of pilots are safe or not for aviation. Yes.
Well, Professor Bijon Mishra, how accountable are airlines today to consumers, and what legal remedies does the existing law offer for these kind of passengers who are, ill-treated, mistreated by the airline staffers?
Deepak, right at the beginning, in your opening remark, you said cracks in the system.
Correct.
And that is very right. There is an intentional crack. It is not that, it's not a deliberate action. See, what I want to tell you is the safety of the passengers and the welfare of the passengers is paramount. There's no negotiation on that. Because when we travel with a clear sense of security in terms of we'll be well taken care, whether it's the airline, whether it's the security staff, whether it is, the airport staff who are managing. We all expect that all of them would be duly not only trained, they are qualified to handle the passengers in a dignified manner, in a respectful manner, as the passengers deserve. And as very rightly said, that airways gives the image of the country to the world. If such incidents happen, you tell me which country visitors would like to come to India. They would never. They will feel completely unsafe. So we have to ensure that we build credibility, we build respect, we assure quality. We only don't talk about it, but we assure it. And we also ensure that the regulator is awake all the time. Like, some my esteemed panel member mentioned CCTV camera is there everywhere. We all know that. As passengers, we all know that. But then what happens to that? The recording. Does anybody look at it? Is there a scrutiny? Is there a surveillance? Is there a system where action is taken? Does it being made public that actions are being taken? But I must, in this particular incident, I must first congratulate, Air India Express for immediately taking action. So that a message goes very loud and clear that you can't take law in your own hands. You can't treat a passenger in a rowdy manner. What needs to be understood is all over the world, the crew, the pilots, they all have a designated lane which is not mixed up. And it is managed in so efficiently, in such an efficient and effective manner that there is no chance of such kind of a incident happening. But in our country, unfortunately, we find that the systems are not in the manner it should be in terms of a process or the protocol which is to be observed to give the best of quality service to the passengers. And not only to the passengers, to the crew, to everybody. So we must ensure that we don't just talk about quality, we practice it. We normally just talk about quality, we talk about giving awards, recognitions, we talk about accreditation, we talk about giving certification to certain processes. But in India, in a tangible manner, it is not perceived by the users. The users should be able to tangibly feel that yes, people are working for me, for the money which I have paid, I'm getting the value for money, and I'm well taken care. And if there is a crack, and if something is falling through the crack, then there has to be a mechanism of catching the missed catch, which we say, in our in terms of quality. That if somebody misbehaves, then somebody has to ensure that immediately, not only action taken, but that consumer is made to be felt that he has been taken care. He's been given the first aid, he's been taken care of, he's been compensated. You see, you talked about the law, legal redress. Deepak, you talked about legal redress.
Correct.
You tell in our country to seek legal redress, it is so expensive, it is so cumbersome that an individual passenger cannot claim compensation. Please be very clear on this. You see, it has to be the government which has to work on behalf of the passengers. The DGC has to go and claim compensation on behalf of the passengers from the airlines or from the staff or from the crew or whoever is responsible. You can't expect a consumer. We have a law. We have the Consumer Protection Act, very well drafted, implemented, but it is not accessible to the common man.
That's right. It is not accessible, and people hesitate to take the legal route as well. So Captain Sanjay Karve, what do these recurring incidents that are alarming in nature tell about safety culture in aviation?
Good evening, everybody. This incident is quite shocking for two reasons. One, the crew is trained not only to handle normal passengers, but even unruly passengers. But here in this particular case, it does not appear that the passenger and his family was unruly. Let us hypothetically assume for a moment that yes, the passenger was unruly and he made some nasty comments against the commander, but they are trained to handle such situations. There was no reason for him to lose his temper and manhandle the passenger. He also should have realized that invariably on the staff gate, there is a CISF personnel standing at the entrance, checking your identity cards before allowing someone inside. The fact that this family had gone inside, the commander should have realized that yes, he has been permitted or he has been authorized to use that lane. And if he still felt aggrieved, he should have asked the CISF person as to how is this family got into this particular lane. So this is something which is very crazy, not expected, not only of a senior commander, of any aircrew. As an aircrew, when you wear a uniform and wings, you are representing the airline. And like it was rightly pointed out, you are representing the aviation outside the country. But within the country itself, you are representing your company. One small incident like this washes off all the good work that the airline does over the period of years. Air India Express management has really done a good job in immediately grounding the passenger. But what needs to be done is to figure out and find out why is it that a highly trained pilot who has been trained to handle emergencies, who has been trained to handle stress, behaved in a particular manner. Why I say we need to find this out is tomorrow a same situation may take place when it's handling an emergency inside the aircraft. Do we really want a repetition of this situation inside an aircraft? He may be flying with a young co-pilot who just graduated from a flying school. He may make a mistake, not willingly. It may just happen. And here is a commander who might just lose his temper. So this is something which the airline HR department needs to seriously have a look at. Do they need to modify their training patterns to educate the crew? Okay, look, we are in a country, a huge country, where time is at a premium, everyone is at rush. And let us be very honest, it is not easy to enter the staff lane. The fact that someone has entered the staff lane, that means either he has the authorization or he's been asked by someone, like the family themselves have stated. He was told because of the baby in the stroller to take this particular lane. So I find that the captain's behavior was definitely uncalled for. Probably, I agree that this particular passenger, may have used some words or may have abused this commander. We really don't know. We have no knowledge of that at this point of time. Yet, there was no reason for him to lose his temper for the simple reason all crew, all aircrew, whether pilots or cabin crew or the engineers, are trained to handle such stress situations. Now, if you cannot handle a stressful situation on ground, one seriously needs to assess or reassess what would be the impact in the cockpit when you are under a high pressure area.